All right, guys, crazy stat. First time the Lakers are opening at home in a playoff series since 2012 because the bubble was in Orlando. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Kobe, good luck. Brez, have a great series. I want you both to play well and come back with some wins. Thanks for watching, and so long. Go Lakers. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers. I'm Chris McGee, joined by our Laker insider Mike Bresnahan, and covering the Lakers for the SoCal News Group, Kobe Price. Welcome, Kobe.
Appreciate you having me on.
You ready for the playoffs?
I am ready. I'm very ready. Very eager.
Yeah.
Very eager for Game 1 on Saturday.
Before we get to Game 1, are you enjoying watching the play-in without the Lakers being involved?
Yes. I actually very much am.
It's nice, right?
Well, okay. I'm not going to act like I've covered a bunch of Lakers play-in games last year against the Pelicans. Was my first one. Yeah, Pelicans was my first one. Only time I covered a play-in game. Yeah. However, it was refreshing to be able to get home after practice last night, turn on a game, and be like, oh, wow, I can just enjoy it. Now, obviously, I'm also watching because that could potentially be second-round matchup for the Lakers, but don't get too far ahead of ourselves. Yeah. It was just nice to be able to watch a game, and a fun game at that.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, writers get tired, too. You could use your 6 days between games, relax a little bit, work on your go to practice a little bit.
Go to practice, work on some preview stuff before.
Work on your typing.
Yeah, I got to
get your flight itinerary ready. When she was doing it practice today, Kobe was getting his flights to Minnesota.
So we were waiting for the schedule to be announced.
Yeah.
And when the Warriors game ended,
there it is.
The games came out, and here is a look at your first 4. 5:30 on ABC Saturday night. We'll have the pre and post for you. Tuesday, we're going to be down there. The pre-halftime and post there, 7 p.m. kickoff. Game 3 and 4 will be in Minnesota. That's a 6:30 game on Spectrum Sportsnet. And then, Brez, I believe that's a Sunday game. Yes, 12:30 on ABC. After practice, J.J. Redick spoke about the confidence Luka has heading into the postseason.
He thinks that there's not a person in the world that can guard him. So I think he takes that seriously, that matchup in particular. So, you know, it's also just the moment of taking the team that drafted you, where your home is, to the NBA Finals. That's a meaningful moment for every player. And to do it on a play like that means a lot.
Just with their length and athleticism, how important is going to be taking care of the ball and how you guys are?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest keys to the series. It's just our ability to get a shot. Everybody talks about Nikhil and McDaniels as these disruptive defenders, which they are. They're two of the best in the NBA, but Ant on the ball, DiVincenzo on the ball, DiVincenzo in dribble handoffs. Those guys are really disruptive, and you know, there's things that we have to do that are sort of non-negotiable for us to run good offense. And I think beyond just, hey, this guy's ball hawking me, there's other parts of it that lead to turnovers that we just have to have really good awareness with.
All right, guys, your top storylines, we're going to pick 2 each for the series. Brez, go with number 1.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give Minnesota some due respect. They have the 6th rated defense in the league. Congrats. But can they stop Luka and LeBron? I don't think so. That's going to be a big chore for them. I just love the way Luka and LeBron have been playing off each other. And, you know, it was definitely a question after the trade happened. How's this going to work when you have 2 guys, Kobe, who love having the ball with them? And, you know, it's worked fantastically, better than even maybe the highest expectations. Lakers finish on a good run, take the 3rd seed in the West, and those 2 guys are just almost unstoppable. So Minnesota, good defenders, no doubt about it. J.J. Redick was also talking about McDaniels and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. They'll get after you for sure on that perimeter. I just don't know if you can stop both those guys. It's going to be really hard for Minnesota to do that.
All right, Kobe, what's your number 1 storyline for the series?
Number 1 storyline, at least for me, is the Lakers trying to turn Anthony Edwards into a playmaker, make him get rid of the ball, and something that the Lakers actually did quite well with during the regular season matchups. terms of how they showed help, when they showed help, and getting the ball out of his hands. It's not, I mean, Rui Hachimura spoke about it earlier today. This is a team defense that you're going to have to play against the talent of Anthony Edwards' caliber. So when you do show bodies, how do you get him to get rid of the ball so he's not taking these pull-up threes that seems like he's been making all season long, making these tough shots that, yes, he can make, but if you can get him bogged down, you know, show bodies and get him a little confused, even that second or two that he needs to process and think, that can be the difference between, you know, him making the right pass or him, you know, stalling out, and now he's making the pass a little too late. It's a turnover or the closeouts right there.
It'll be a chess game.
It's a chess game.
Every single matchup. All right, Brez, this is a good one here because we know it's going to be important. Lakers bench.
They got to rise up a little bit. I'll tell you what, they finished 29th in scoring among all the teams in the reserves in the NBA. That's a little low. What I do like about the Laker bench, it seems like they've had a lot of tiny buckets, you know, or defensive plays, or plays that can really make a difference in a game. On the other side, however, you've got some pretty good reserves for Minnesota. Naz Reid, 6th man of the year last year. All he was this year was the T-Wolves' 3rd leading scorer. He had a very nice season after banking what he did last year. Dante DiVincenzo, part of that really shocking trade right before the preseason, Kobe. And he wasn't great to start the year. Then he got hurt right before the All-Star break. Right after it, though, he had a really nice finish. His post-All-Star numbers, shot 45% from 3 on pretty good volume, too. So you got to count for him, too. And, of course, Alexander Walker. They've got some guys on that bench. Lakers got to outplay them.
That's going to be a great matchup. All right, what about for you, Kobe, number 2?
I mean, for me, number 2 is how do the Lakers' small ball lineups do against a bigger, more physical Minnesota team that, again, not just big, but they like to play big. I mean, they have a guy like Rudy Gobert, physical, Naz Reid. You mentioned all the defenders they have. Yep. Those are big, lengthy, just like gruesome defenders. And the Lakers have shown a high-level ability to just play at a great level when they do lean on those small ball lineups. And against teams like Houston, Oklahoma City recently, get those teams away from playing big, you know, either having to play one big or no bigs on the floor. And if the Lakers get you in that situation, it feels like they've won that chess match, to reference what you said earlier. So how are the Lakers able to get to that? Can they get to that and succeed with that against a Minnesota team that's going to try to stay big and play big as much as they can?
Especially at the end of games, if that's a close game, you're going to see a small ball lineup for Lakers against a big lineup for Minnesota.
Absolutely.
Who wins out. All right, more from practice. Austin Reeves was asked about preparing for the Timberwolves and what it will take to find success in their first-round series.
Yeah, I think you just gotta play with IQ. Those guys are super aggressive defensively and cause a lot of havoc on that end of the court. We just gotta like I said, play with IQ, patience, and don't turn the ball over.
What steps have you seen from Anthony Edwards this year?
I think since especially like I watch him the Olympics, FIBA. And all that, this couple years, I think his confidence is really high now. He playing with these guys, he being so aggressive, especially the 3 points. He was the #1 this year, and he gonna be so aggressive with that. But also he can drive, he can put in the rim and everything. So we gotta, as a team, I think we gotta focus on him, of course, and. Yeah, we just gotta guard him as a team, whole team.
I've said this kind of all year. Like every experience this year has been simultaneously different but the same. And my job and my role is different than it was in the 14 years I played in the playoffs as a player. But a lot of this feels familiar. It's just the job I have to do is a little different.
Let's talk a little Minnesota before we get into JJ. This series was 2-2, but neither team really faced each other like they are right now, either whole or after trades. So everyone's healthy and everyone's a go. So it's kind of a new series. We really don't know how this is going to go because it's different lineups when they played. But Minnesota has found their footing since the last time the Lakers saw them. In February, they're 17-4 down the stretch. What's clicked for them, Brez?
I'll tell you what, definitely the bench and DiVincenzo playing better. Julius Randle as well. He had a really nice run after the All-Star break. And again, when you talk about Julius and Dante, those are the two regulars, the two particulars of that big trade that shipped out Karl Anthony Towns back in September. So, I mean, it's going to take those two guys a while. Cat, for his part, adjusted pretty quickly. He's been really good for the Knicks, but he probably had more talent around him than this Minnesota team did. This Minnesota team was like barely in the play-in just a couple months ago, rolling in 9th and 10th and going a nice run. And And I just think that they figured out their offensive identity, and they got healthy too. Julius missed a little time, as did DiVincenzo. When you get all your guys together, and they run a pretty deep team, 7 or 8 deep. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it really just goes back to Randall for me in terms of just the steps and progressions he's taken with the team since, getting back healthier. And sometimes it does take time. It does take time in terms of just, you're on a new team, new situation. You said Cat, it was almost immediate for him, but that's also different situations from the standpoint of this is Anthony Edwards' team.
Yeah.
And they already had a system in place, and now Julius Randle's having to adapt, and you miss time. You get back. I mean, sometimes it's just getting into a good flow. You get into a flow, you get into a rhythm. I know that he didn't play in the last time they played the Lakers, but since then, he's been able to get back on the floor. And they're reaping the benefits of it. I think sometimes we forget that Julius Randle is an all-star, former all-star rather, former All-NBA guy who led his own franchise to playoff bursts, to playoff wins. So he's, to me, at least for the Timberwolves, he's the difference maker. Like, Anthony Edwards is going to be Anthony Edwards, more or less. But what Julius Randle